Hello, hello, my beautiful YouTube family. Welcome back to the E portion of Tell Joanne. I am your girl, Joanne. Guys, I'm going to start this video with a little story. So, last week, I read an email by someone, last week or the week before last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I read an email by someone named Matt, and that person wrote an amazing email, and they actually taught me a lot about Elvis, and they had a couple of songs request or recommendation for me. Because I really enjoyed the email, I actually took one of the recommendation and I moved it to the top of the list, and then I did the recording. And I remember, I think I had said in a recording that for them to join, and I wasn't sure if they were actually a member, even though they had said that they were a member. I thought it was mistaken and they really meant to say subscribership. Long story short, Matt is a member. Matt's been a member for a very long time. Matter of fact, he was like one of the third person who became a member. Now, the confusion got lost because his name in the membership is not Matt, it's Kiwi. So when I saw that, I didn't put two and two together. So with this message, we got everything straightened out. I do want to come out and say sorry about the confusion, Matt, and that I truly appreciate you. So this week, luckily enough for me, I get to move all of his requests to the top of the list, and they're all about Elvis. So you Elvis lovers, definitely make sure to reach out, send lots of hearts and lots of love to keep him mad, because he is giving you guys lots and lots of Elvis requests. So the song or video I am actually about to see right now, I know that a couple of you guys had requested it, so definitely send him love. It's called Elvis Presley, The King of Kindness. The last video that I did see from Matt, it touched me a lot. So without much talking, let me just go to my chair, okay? So if you are part of the family, you know what we're about to do, aka you already subscribed. But if you are new to the channel, definitely put me on pause, get your beverage of choice, hit the subscribe button, because we're about to do a chair on the count of three. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're gonna start with Elvis Presley, The King of Kindness. Guys, I got this ready just in case. All right, let's go.
I've always treated people just like I would like to be treated. I try to remember that. That's all. It's simple. It's no problem. It's no big effort that I put forth. Yeah.
Elvis Presley was not only one of America's most iconic entertainers, he was also one of the most charitable celebrities to ever live. Having been raised poor and by God-fearing parents, Elvis gave from the purity of his heart. Although he fell into a high tax bracket, he never took a tax write-off, nor did he ask for any publicity for his charitable deeds. He gave just for the love of giving. While his many good works would be impossible to list, we'll highlight as many as possible, starting with his $1,050 donation to his old high school, which made it possible for all of the students to attend the annual E.H. Crump Memorial Football Game for the Blind in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
Between 1956 and 1957, Elvis performed a number of live concerts.
Did they say a football game for the blind? I've never heard of something like that before. Okay, let me go back.
Game for the Blind in Memphis, Tennessee. Between 1956 and 1957, Elvis performed a number of live concerts to raise money for charities, such as his own youth foundation, the Cynthia Milk Fund, and the Variety Club's Home for Convalescent Children. How many stars aside from Elvis can claim they helped end polio? On October 28, 1956, before an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, Elvis was inoculated with Jonas Salk's anti-polio vaccine, which caused the immunization level of all Americans to skyrocket from 0.6% to 80% in a 6-month period.
Hey, kids, could I talk to you for about 30 seconds? This is Elvis Presley. Remember polio victims. Join the 1957 March of Dimes today.
By April of 1957, the Salk Institute declared polio all but eradicated on U.S. soil. On January 6, 1957, during his third appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, Elvis requested Mr. Sullivan ask those watching to send urgent financial contributions to help relieve the plight of some 250,000 Hungarians affected by the Soviet invasion of their country.
Because he feels so keenly, this young man feels so keenly about Hungarian relief, he urges all of us through the country to remember that immediate aid is needed. So long before his benefit show is put on, he wants to remind you to send in your checks to your various churches, Red Cross, etc.
On June 28, 1957, Elvis appeared as a special guest on Danny Thomas's annual Shower of the Stars charity event, which aimed to raise funds to build what is today the most important medical and research center for children with cancer, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Without singing a single song, the King's presence drew over 14,000 donors, and work on construction of the hospital's first building commenced later that year. Presley's work with sick children did not begin or end with St. Jude's. Before being drafted by the U.S. Army, he often visited hospitals to comfort children faced with life-threatening illnesses, and donated the hundreds of stuffed animals that he had received from fans worldwide to them. One of Elvis's most memorable moments was recorded in the early 70s when he fulfilled the dreams of 8-year-old Denise Sanchez, who passed away soon after a visit from Elvis and her attendance at his concert.
Could you sing me a special song, please?
I sure will. Okay. Come back.
Oh, thank you so much.
Elvis would often visit with Graceland's secretary, who, among other tasks, sorted his mail. If a photograph or a request or a story touched Elvis, he would immediately take steps to help the sender. Whether it was paying off people's debts or their mortgages, helping a family whose father had died in the line of duty, buying someone a home or a car, or giving a disabled person a new wheelchair. If Elvis knew about it, he helped. One such request came from young Ward D. Anderson, who asked Presley to sponsor her bike ride for children with diabetes. The King responded by pledging $5 per mile, which was much higher than the going rate of 5 cents per mile. During his lifetime, Elvis donated a number of vehicles for his good causes, including a red Ford Thunderbird to the March of Dimes and one of his own Rolls Royces to a charity for mentally retarded children. In 1964, Elvis bought the Potomac, FDR's presidential yacht, and donated it to St. Jude's, who sold it to raise about $55,000. On March 25, 1961, Elvis performed a benefit concert in Hawaii to raise money for the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor. The concert raised over $65,000, and a plaque was prominently placed at the memorial site, acknowledging Elvis's efforts in raising the funds. Sadly, the plaque was removed due to unknown, possibly political reasons. Hawaii was also the location of Elvis's most famous concert for charity, Aloha from Hawaii. The 1973 concert was the first to be broadcast live by satellite. It was viewed by a record audience of over 1 billion people worldwide. The performance raised over $75,000 for the Kwee Lee Cancer Fund, which had been set up following the death of the I'll Remember You songwriter in 1966. In 1975, Elvis raised in excess of $100,000 at a concert in Jackson, Mississippi for victims of a tornado. This concert was deeply personal to Elvis, who was a child when a deadly tornado tore through his hometown of Tupelo. Elvis annually presented checks to as many as 50 charities and organizations in Memphis. Each check was for a minimum of $1,000.
I want to pause this before she finishes, just so I can say that, Matt, thank you so much for sending this to me. Like, I know I do a lot of videos in regards to Elvis's song, and I say that, I absolutely love Elvis, and I got to read his, I got to watch his movies and just learning even more about him through this community. I think it's wonderful for me to be able to see this, and I think it's also wonderful for me to be able to share it to the people of the community who knows Elvis, who already know this, but most importantly for people who do not know Elvis. And I know that a lot of people may see this and they may be like, it's just BS. Like, Elvis is doing it as part of publicity stunt, or he has to do it, or he has to do a tax write-off, whatever it is. And the truth is, everybody has their own opinion. Everybody can say what they want. But for me, as a person who definitely appreciates Elvis, I see this and I take it that he is doing it from the bottom of his heart. With that said, part of the reason why I'm actually teary right now is because all right, I'm gonna try not to go off camera, so I'm just gonna take a second and breathe. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so as I'm watching this and I'm listening to it, and then I thought about the video that I did last week of Elvis and his humanity and the story of guys, definitely watch this video that I'm saying right now if you didn't get a chance to of Elvis and his humanity, and how that there was a lady who was born with no legs, and that she raised her kids and raised her grandkids, and that she pretty much, she didn't have a wheelchair, that she would wheel herself, and she had like a board and she put wheels on it and she would wheel herself. And Elvis read her story and came to her house and bought her a wheelchair. And at the end, the bodyguard was like, Elvis, I don't even think she knew it was you. And he was just saying that it didn't matter, that she didn't know who I was, as long as she knew that someone cares about her. And I was thinking about that. And then I'm putting together, like, guys, I always put so many things in my mind together. And I'm putting together, this one is to Matt. Matt actually is a member, as I said in the beginning. I didn't know he was a member, but he also gave me a very nice donation on Buy Me a Kofi, and he did that without asking for absolutely anything at all. He just did that from the bottom of his heart. So I feel like, to me, that just means so much. I do appreciate in advance, and I'll write messages to you guys, anyone who has done that. But I'm reading this and I'm just kind of thinking about people who know Elvis in their heart, whether they've met him in person or whether he has just played a huge role in their life, and how they may feel that they want to continue his legacy, not only by sharing stories, but also living the way that they may feel that he lived. And these are all the things that come through my mind all the time, guys. Like, my mind is always having a lots of thoughts. So I say that to say, thank you, Matt, again, from the bottom of my heart, for you just being you wanted to spread knowledge, and also for your donation. I truly, truly appreciate that. And most importantly, for you being part of the community. Whew, I got a chance to say that. All right. So, guys, again, definitely, give Matt some love. I will just write his name. I won't put his YouTube thing unless he gives me permission to do that. So I'll definitely check with him later about that from his next videos. So let's continue. All right, that was a lot of talking in between. All right, let's go.
For victims of a tornado. This concert was deeply personal to Elvis, who was a child when a deadly tornado tore through his hometown of Tupelo. Elvis annually presented checks to as many as 50 charities and organizations in Memphis. Each check was for a minimum of $1,000, and some were much greater, such as his $10,000 donation to the Memphis Jewish Community Center Building Fund. In recognition of Elvis's charitable contributions throughout his life, Memphis Mayor William Ingram, along with the governor of Tennessee, Beaufort Ellington, officially declared October 29, 1967, Elvis Presley Day in the city of Memphis and in the state of Tennessee.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Elvis learned early on what it meant to receive food, clothes, and kindness from strangers, and did the same for others in need, both publicly and privately. While he may not have been a perfect role model, the world today needs more examples of this type of generosity and kindness.
Should not pause it there because it's about to end. I like how she says, while he may not have been a perfect role model. I feel like, for me, as being a therapist, is that I have the blessing, or outside whether I was a therapist or not, just the blessing that God has given me is to be able to see that there are two sides in every story, right? So, at the end of the day, Elvis may not have been a perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect person, but he was a humane human being. He was a kind human being, and he did the best that he can. And that's all that we can ever ask of ourselves or of anyone, is that to show kindness and to give kindness. And it's funny because, like, I truly believe, I truly believe in the saying, treat others as you want to be treated. And unfortunately, people don't do that, right? They want to be treated kindly, but then they treat others any which way possible. So I'm saying this last bit to say that I am quite aware that Elvis may not have been perfect, but he was an amazing human being. And I want to say that to people who, again, may not necessarily believe, Elvis. and when people who do love Elvis, and I know that there's different range of people. There are people who believe that Elvis was the perfect human being. He could do no wrong. He's all of this. And there are people who think that Elvis is completely BS. And like I said, as a therapist, as a person who can see all sides, to know and accept him as a human being, I am on the Elvis is absolutely an amazing, amazing human being. But I also understand that as human, nobody's perfect. So that's just my 2 cents. All right, let me finish this before this video ended up being like 3 hours long. All right, guys.
While he may not have been a perfect role model, the world today needs more examples of this type of generosity and kindness.
It's the way I was brought up. My surroundings, my mother and my father, and the whole family were always considerate of other people's feelings. I'm proud of the way that I was brought up to believe and to treat people, and so I try to remember that. That's all. It's simple. It's no problem.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and to like this video.
And I will definitely subscribe. All right, guys. I want to say another thing. So I might be completely wrong, and what I'm saying may change as I continue to learn about Elvis. But from the information that I've gathered about Elvis, it's just that, like I said, I think he's an absolute human being. And you guys can correct me with my information if I'm wrong. So from what I've seen, it seems like, that he had his twin brother who died at birth. He was, his mom was his everything, and he was his mom everything. When his mom passed away, it was the most devastating thing ever. So from that person, from that personality, it seems like Elvis dealt with a lot of trauma in his life from the very beginning. And like I had said, if you guys saw my reaction on the Elvis Presley movie, then you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, definitely get a chance to watch it. But from what I gather, based on how his mom is, and based on the fact that she lost her kid, she held Elvis very, very close. And I think that she may have put a lot of pressure on him as a result. So, which means that from a very, very young age, he was dealing with things that young kids probably should not even deal with. And I'm pretty sure therapy was not a big thing in that age. And so it's not like he can really talk to anyone or get the extra help he was dealing with. And then it also seems like his father ended up going to jail. So imagine as a kid, all that pressure that you're dealing with. Your mom, her loss, your father is not there. And here you are having to man up at such a young age to take care of your mom emotional needs, right? And then having to take care of yourself as well, and I can imagine. So he moved to a neighborhood where Black people are, and I could also imagine that he may not have been accepted right away, and even when he was accepted, things may not have been easy for him. So again, struggles. And this is me talking without knowing the real story. This is just as a therapist, as a person, just putting together some of the things that I've heard, and just this is where I'm at right now. But I do welcome you guys to write and just let me know where I'm off, and so forth. So and then continuing Elvis's life, he has a talent, a natural talent, and of course, being where we are raised, we get their influence, right? So he was influenced by Black culture because that's the area that he was raised in, right? So he gets a manager who takes advantage of him. I also want to make sure to say that while the manager took advantage of him, from what I gather from the manager, it sounds like he had addiction, a lot of addiction, and so does not make it okay for what he did, but it seems like his addiction was as a result. But I also want to say that because of the manager, the way that he was also able to help Elvis grow within the United States, right? Mostly because he wanted the money, right? And we also know that he stunted Elvis' growth from international. Again, these are just from information that I've gotten so far. So we know that Elvis went to the army, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. I understand from different comments and everything, that may have been, what they did, but guess what? He went there anyway. He did the best that he can. And while in the army, from what I gathered, his mom passed away. So again, coming home with more trauma. So it's just like, this is a human being who went through a lot of trauma. And with what he went through, he gave the world the music that he has given them. He loved his fans. And in regards to the Black community, you guys know that racism was huge, you know what I mean? Segregation was huge. So I feel like with what he did for the black community, I personally feel like he did something huge. Some people may say that, oh, Elvis stole black people music, and it's okay to think that way because you're entitled to your thoughts. Me personally, from what I've gathered, is that because of him and his influence, it opened a lot of people's ears to black people's music. So I will look at it that way, and I will forever be grateful. And not only will I forever be grateful, I will also go and introduce myself to some of those music. Like one of the reactions that I did with Kitty White. Oh my god, I never even knew who she was until I saw the Elvis video. And now I'm absolutely obsessed with her, right? So I'm sorry if I'm going off tangent. I'm just kind of saying everything that's on my mind right now. So all that to say that Elvis is a human being. And as a human being, with everything that he went through, I think he was an absolutely amazing person. And no one is without their flaws, but for what he contributed to music, to people, people, to humanity, to just the world, I will forever, forever be grateful to him. Hence why I have put Elvis on this channel, right? Hence why I have Elvis Sundays and Wednesday. I'm not disillusioned, right? I'm not one to say that, Elvis has never done any wrong. Definitely that's not the case. But I see what he has done right, and I am grateful. And as I said, I've seen the lives that he continues to touch, even Matt's life that he continues to touch. And I'm just grateful for that. And I would like to be, and I'm proud to be, one of those people to continue to spread that message in a positive way. So I definitely said a lot. I hope I wasn't preaching to anyone, but that's just my 2 cents. And thank you for listening till the end of this video. Much love. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.